Hey guys, Rob Caputo here for another episode of Talking with Cars, and today what we're doing is we're going to talk about winter washing. So number one, why would you want to winter wash? Why would you want to go through that trouble washing your car? It's going to get dirty again really quickly. It's just freezing outside. You don't even want to deal with it. Why would you want to do that? Well, number one, most detailers, most weekend warriors know that you can't really wash outside in your driveway during those periods, right? Because it could be dangerous. There's a lot of slip hazards, knowing me, I'd power wash in the driveway. It would be a sheet of ice the next day and I'd walk on it and I'd slip and fall. The other reason is because most of your equipment, most of your chemicals you're bringing inside. You're actually bringing it inside downstairs because we don't have the luxury of a climate controlled garage, So I do have heat in my garage and I could get it up to temperature, but it's still very cold, and when you're washing the car outside, you're really not going to have that luxury until you bring it inside when you do maybe a rinseless wash or something like that. So unfortunately, you just don't have that luxury and you can't really accommodate, right? And I don't want to leave my pressure washer outside because God forbid there's any water in it. You could damage the seals, you could damage a lot of different things. And if you have an expensive pressure washer, you're not going to want to risk it. So that's why you don't want to wash it in your driveway or anything like that. Every now and then you're going to run into a situation where you have a balmy 45 or 50 degrees and you can kind of get away with washing it and you don't really have to worry about icing up the driveway. But in most cases, you're going to have to go away to a scrub-a-dub or some sort of self-washing place or a touchless wash, something like that where you could bring your car and perform the cleaning process. So, but why do you want to wash your car during the winter? Why is it very important? I think the biggest reason is because of the salts. You want to make sure that whatever de-icing salts that they put on the road, whether it's calcium chloride, sodium chloride, magnesium chloride, whatever they use, all those chlorides get onto your car and you want to rinse that off every now and then. You want to clean that off, right? Because that's what's going to cause corrosion underneath, on your undercarriage, in the wheel wells, if there's exposed metals, your suspension system, all that kind of stuff. Especially on some cars, they're a little bit more prone to corrosion than others. If you have aluminum parts, like some of the more expensive cars, then you have a little bit less to worry about. But on the cheaper cars or the less expensive cars, like the Subarus, the Hondas, the Nissans, they tend to corrode pretty easily on the underside. They're not as protected, and they don't have a lot of aluminum parts because they're expensive, right? So the primary reason to detailing your car and cleaning your car during the winter months, and I'm not saying you have to do it once a week, every couple weeks, maybe every month, just to really do a deep clean, is to get the salts off the car, right? Get the grime off the car, get the tar, whatever it is that you're flinging up off of the road, off of your car, so you can protect it for a longer period of time. And then when it's ready for a resale, then you can easily sell it, easily clean it, prepare it, and get rid of it. So that's the biggest reason. Number two, where do I wash my car, right? If I'm not going to do it in my driveway because I'm worried about icing and slipping hazards and stuff like that, and really not wanting to pull out all that equipment, just for an hour or two, we're going to go to a local place. We're going to go to the local place where they have those wands, and you could basically pressure wash your car and clean it in one of the bays that they have there. Unfortunately, we don't have an interior bay cleaning area. That would be nice if we had something like that in the Northeast, in the New Jersey area, like Chicago Warehouse. I believe they have those interior bays. That's a pretty cool idea for the winter months especially. But unfortunately, we don't have that. We have basically these drive-in bays that you can go in. I'll try to find a video clip and post it here, but those bays are really helpful. Usually it's filtered water. I'm not saying it's going to be like a reverse osmosis filter or anything like that, but it's probably filtered water. Is it recycled water? Probably. In some cases it could be recycled. And the soaps that they use are tend to be kind of on the harsher side because, you know, they know that people are just going to go in there and just kind of use whatever soap they use. And they want to get rid of, especially the touchless drive-through, they want to like make sure that it looks clean by the time you get out of that bay. So, but what I typically do is I kind of fill up my SPTA sprayer. I'll put, if I use my soap, the Blue Crush soap, I'll put 3/4 of an ounce to an ounce of soap in there with some warm water. I'll bring a wheel and tire cleaner, like the Oberk wheel and tire cleaner, the 2-in-1 that I just reviewed. That stuff is incredible. It's got iron remover built into it. It's a tire cleaner. It's a wheel cleaner. It does everything. And it's almost touchless. It's pretty incredible. If you want something a little bit more aggressive than the Blue Crush soap, you can use Bilt Hamber. You can put that in the SPTA sprayer. I'm going to be doing that for a darker car. My wife's car is a darker blue, and if you don't really do a good job of cleaning, you know, because my Blue Crush, although it's a pretty decent pre-wash, it's not a touchless wash, right? It's not really meant to be, right? It's kind of lower on the pH. It's an 8, 8.5. So it's not as aggressive as it can be, right? So it's not meant to be. It's really meant to be a maintenance wash. But Bilt Hammer touchless is probably a good option. You could put a couple ounces, 2 to 3 ounces in the SPTA sprayer, spray that on the surface, and then go to town and basically rinse that off after you let it dwell for a couple minutes. Really, that's the thing you need to do. The first thing I do when I get into that bay is I don't put money in the machine yet. You know, I basically do all of the sudsing. I foam the whole thing up. I put the wheel and tire cleaner on. Then I let that dwell for a couple minutes, and I put my foam on top of that and really get the soap to do its job. You know, have that break down the dirt and the grime and the dust and all that kind of stuff and get that off the car. Then after a few minutes, after like 4 or 5 minutes, before the soap really dries on the car, especially with the Bilt Hammer touchless, you want to kind of get it before it dries up. Then you pay for the rinse, and only the rinse with your credit card, and you basically rinse down your car and get rid of all that grime. At that stage of the game, you're pretty much 90 to 95% clean. All that's left is really that film. You're basically doing a heavy pre-wash, and you're getting rid of most of the salts, most of the grime, and all that kind of stuff. You're cleaning up your wheels, getting all the brake dust and the iron off of it. And at that point, if you're close enough, if you really want to, you could bring another sprayer with you and do a rinseless wash on the side, right? You could pull it out of the bay, and on the side, you spray it down, bring some towels with you, maybe even a bucket with a lid, and do a rinseless wash right after that, right? Because you've basically removed a majority of the grime, and now you're just cleaning the rest of it off. Or if you're close enough, you could bring it home and do the same thing in your garage. You know, and if it's a heated garage, even better. You can kind of like use a bucket, a 3-gallon bucket, 4-gallon bucket, and just basically use some rinseless wash and wash it down. I recommend ADS Armour Detail Supplies Hero because I think that has a little bit more surfactants in it, you know, and it does a better job of cleaning the dirt off, and it's got a lot of lubricity to it, so I like the way that it works, you know, and I like the way that it smells, to be honest, right? It's a good experience when you're using it and you're kind of cleaning the surface off. So yeah, so a majority of it could be cleaned at the bay, and then you bring it home and you can clean it up, or you do it right there if you want to, you know, and you know, if it's really, if it doesn't bother you that much, you know, you can kind of leave it be and just get a majority of the dirt off. That's really the objective. Get really a majority of the dirt off and the salts off. Get that off your car as soon as possible, right? And that's easy enough. If you kind of bring the SPTA sprayer and the wheel cleaner, you could do it within 5 minutes. You get the whole car done. So I think that would be very advantageous. And I would do that like every couple weeks. And then every month, do a real deep clean, you know, where you're doing the rinseless wash. And then you can get through the few months of winter. And then by the time spring comes, then you could bring all your equipment back up into the garage, your pressure washer, all your chemicals and all that stuff, and feel comfortable. But that's what I do during the winter months, right? So I basically bring it to a bay, I rinse it down with some foaming action, whether it's a typical Blue Crush pH balanced soap, or I use you know, something a little bit stronger like Bilt Hamber touchless, and I just go to town, rinse that off, and I'm pretty much happy, right? So at least it could carry me into the spring, and when I could do a proper cleaning and detailing. And really, like in the spring, that's when you do like the big, deep clean, right? You do underneath the carriage, you do everywhere in the door jambs and all that kind of stuff, and really go to town. Maybe take your wheels off, clean the barrels and all that kind of stuff, and just do an excellent deep clean, you know, so you're ready for the summer months. But that's how I do my my winter cleaning. That's what I wanted to share with you this time around. So hopefully that was helpful. Like, subscribe, hype the video if you can, and I'll see you on the next one.